So a $600 pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. We're live this evening. Excited to be back on a Monday. I want to find out your guys' thoughts from my little live stream. I know the volume wasn't what it should have been, but it is what it is. But other than that, I had a good time this past weekend. My first little live event, so we'll definitely talk about that. But more importantly, for those that are watching, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. Any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. We do a live stream evening, nights, usually at 9:30ish, give or take. And so it gives you a chance to call in and share what's on your mind. There's a number above my head, 313-462-0027. Give me a call. Or if you want to have your presence acknowledged, feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat. And I'll definitely make sure to acknowledge your presence this evening. So, as always, the clock is ticking, and I want to be as precise as I can, but yet I couldn't help but come across some recent tweets by our president, and more he tweets, the more foolish he looks to the world. Nevertheless, to those that already question his motives and his actions in general. But yeah, man, from touting about how healthy the economy is to calling for a weak dollar, calling for a strong dollar, bragging on how strong the dollar is. And then from the tweets I'm going to share with you today, just so much stuff in there that lets me know this is one big game. And unfortunately, the people who will be hurt the most are the people who will be caught in the middle of this fake tug of war between Trump and the Fed. This good guy, bad guy type of situation is not working. I'm not falling for it. They're both of the same. They both ultimately know that they both ultimately know the truth and where all this is heading. And amongst them tugging them with rates and the currency and whatnot is definitely not going to end well for those that are stuck in the middle. And unfortunately, it's those that solely depend upon these little units, all the things flying over my head. But we'll get into that in a second. So let me acknowledge some people in the chat who's watching us thus far. We got Scott. We got Excalibur. Say, what's up, Mike? Spirit King. Low blood pressure. We got Troy Ounce. Have no fear. Troy Ounce is here. How you doing, my friend? Hernan. Ace 1. Derek Thomas. Silver is a sleeper. Definitely. We got Kenneth. We got Max Strong. We got Troy Ounce from Boise, Idaho. And it says, Adam Dirt says, yeah, the Fed wants to extend the dollar's presence. Trump is just a tool of the bankers. This is becoming redundant. China's turn to the world. Yeah, I agree. It's and the thing is now it's a year ago, a couple months ago, several months ago, before he became really overly active with his Twitter account. I was sitting back watching, just hearing mainstream news stories, hearing him go after them usually. But now he's surpassed the need for even commenting on the mainstream media. He goes right to Twitter. And assuming that's from his fingertips on his own phone, the things he say lets me know that, I already lacked confidence really in this whole paradigm that we've been forced to believe is reality, apart from what's been, created in front of us. But the fact that, we have someone who's, one day bashing the dollar, now he's, taking credit for the dollar, taking credit for the stock market, but he bashed it when he ran for candidate. All these things here, and especially these tweets tonight, and his leading tweet, which I assume was a joke, but I really couldn't find it funny. So I'm going to share with you guys. But as always, what else is going on? What's on your mind this evening? Let me know where you're watching from. For those that are checking in with us, see how many people are joining so far. We got about 30 or so people. So, either the word didn't get out or it did. Either way, we're going to have some fun with it. And so I actually want to go right to President Trump's most recent tweets and let you guys see exactly for yourselves if you haven't already paid attention to them. And so this is as of earlier today, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see probably a little bit better. But this is all in reference to this week, starting this week, the central bank governors and all the policymakers are meeting in Wyoming, in Jackson Hole, and typically based upon the responses that come from the meeting and all the little wrap-ups, the Q&A, it usually triggers the markets in some way. And right now we know that the markets are extremely sensitive because of all of this stuff that's underway with the trade situation, currencies crumbling. We got recessions in probably every emerging economy on the planet, but not many people are really highlighting the problems they're having in those countries. And I actually got an interview I just finished today in reference to a gentleman basically giving a great summary as to why that is, and it has to do with the debt and how the dollar itself, as it's strengthened or remained relatively strong in regards to other currencies, has put a lot of pressure on these countries, which are the reasons why they're having issues. So we get into that. But here's some tweets that started about 10 hours ago, according to this little post here. And I was reading through some of the comments, and boy, I tell you, it was funny. But to give you an idea of what was tweeted earlier in reference to the response to the whole Jackson Hole, whatever. And so it says, our economy, oh no, I think I got one before this. Yeah, this is it. It says, our economy is very strong. So once again, the whole idea of, making you believe the economy is strong. Of course, you can, for yourself whether your personal economy is strong or not, or if it's not. But for majority, I'll question that. It says, despite the horrendous lack of vision. So here he is dogging Jay Powell again. If you guys have been tuning in, a couple weeks ago, I did some recovery coverage on the tweets of how he's just bashing this guy. He's just basically just making this guy who may not even have, apart from work from Goldman Sachs, he probably not have any real true, central banking experience, but he's bashing this guy, his lack of vision. He's calling him basically a chump by Jay Powell and the Fed. So once again, he's dogging the Fed. And so my question is, how much longer can he actually get away with dogging the Fed or playing this good cop, bad cop? He's trying to paint Jay Powell as the reason why the economy is crumbling. And he is, I guess the good guy demanding, as you're going to see here, says the Fed over a fairly short period of time should be reduced by at least 100 basis points with perhaps some quantitative easing sprinkled in on top of that. So here we have a president of the United States who's talking about the dollar being a problem. And because everybody else is trying to cover up for the problems we created with sending so much currency around the world and it being the standard of value in regards to trade, causing all those other currencies to have problems. And so because other countries decide to take action, we paint them as currency manipulators, where here we have a president himself calling on a form of currency manipulation, because dropping the Fed funds rate promotes debt, and then sprinkling in some quantitative easing on top basically leads to more monetizing of bonds or whatever else they decide to monetize, which clearly is manipulation if you were to look at it in a real way. But it says if that happened, our economy will be even better, and the world economy will be greatly and quickly enhanced, good for everyone. So the world economy is struggling because of their indebtedness, having taken out so much debt in dollar terms and now having to pay it back. So if the dollar gets even stronger, it's going to cause even more problems around the world. And so he said this will be greatly and quickly enhanced, good for everyone. And when I read this type of stuff right here, it lets me know he knows nothing about how all this stuff works, or he's doing all this to deliberately destroy our economy and the currency, because I do believe he's a part of the whole reset structure. He's been appointed for this time frame to basically resolve the Federal Reserve note and bring in something else, whatever that might be. But once again, that's just me sharing my thoughts. Let me see here. Let me check in with you guys. So what do you guys think? What's going on? Says Mike, I'm late. How you doing? What else we got here? Missed a couple comments. So did you see any videos about Harry Markaba talk about GE being bankrupt? Home rocks. I did not watch any direct videos, I don't think, but I am familiar with the whole GE situation. And just tonight, I believe I saw something about Disney World or Walt Disney, and them also having some fraudulent books. And so Google that to make sure. But yet I saw Disney and I saw some stuff that reminded me of GE. So I wouldn't doubt. And this is just because it feels like this is a season for more people's business to be exposed between all this Jeffrey Epstein stuff and we got our former President Bill Clinton with a picture being painted in a dress and his so everybody's business started to be spilled right now. So between GE being labeled the next Enron, bigger than Enron or whatever that is, and then we got Disney tonight, and so right now I believe because of this artificially low and it's debt-induced coma state of an economy we've been in, I would imagine everybody's cooked their books a little bit to make it company look a little bit more profitable. And even from this past Friday with the Max Kaiser event, he got some questions about. He was just talking about him having worked behind the scenes in a lot of those fight Wall Street type companies, and he was saying they literally cooked their books on purpose. He's like, there's so many companies that are basically reported on paper as doing great, but in actuality they're not doing good at all. So I wouldn't doubt we hear more companies pretty soon. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Tim, Colorado.
Tim, how you doing, my friend?
Good. First, I just want to let your listeners know that you're right on the money.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
And then I wanted to get your opinion on what do you think is going to happen in Hong Kong?
Good question there. What I think is going to happen in Hong Kong, I think that it's probably going to it's already out of hand because it's been going on for several weeks. But I think it's probably going to get to the point where if China hasn't already moved the military in, I think they were on the border last time I heard. They will probably eventually move in, and then there will probably be. I believe there's some people in the crowd that may not necessarily be a part of the Hong Kong movement directly. So I can see some type of funded operation behind the scenes that shoots a bullet or does something to hurt some Hong Kong people, and then all out hell gonna break loose. A lot of people's lives might be lost, and it's gonna turn into a humanitarian crisis. Then the U.S. gonna stand up, look all bad and strong, and say we got to go defend that region. So we're going to go over there and try to defend, that territory there, even though it's part of China. But we're gonna go intervene, and I don't think China wants us over there with guns and boots on their ground. So it's not going to be pretty if it gets to that. That's my 2 cents.
If it gets to that, right? Because I agree with everything you just said. But if it gets to that, it's going to get nasty.
Oh, very nasty. Very nasty. And
real nasty.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I think last weekend about just how this seems to be the time for so much social unrest. There's so much tension in the air. And it's creeping into the citizenry to where people are fed up and pissed politically as well as financially. And it's only a matter of time before stuff really boils over. And, around the world, we're used to hearing about stuff happening. But we're not used to hearing about things happening within our borders. And that's when I think everything will be fully known, when we got people in the streets going to the Federal Reserve, going to the banks, or going to wherever to protest. Just from the fact that everybody's been squeezed out, primarily in their pockets first. So just my 2 cents, man. What are your thoughts?
You're dead on. You're dead on. Totally agreed. Everybody should listen to Mike. And what do you think about, so when you talk about PM, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're up on silver, we're up shy of $3 here from not that long ago.
Yeah.
So here's the way I look at it. You tell me what you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
But either they're able to suppress it down in this region, or explodes. But there's nothing in between. I mean, it may inch its way up, but when it goes, it's gone.
Yeah, when it goes, it's gone. And in knowing that it's going to take off, just because it has to take off to catch up with all the paper that's been put into existence and digits. So just knowing that is one of the things where it's just a matter of how much can you accumulate now. Why it's probably the cheapest it will ever be in our lifetimes until it's no longer a hedge against a failing currency. So Yeah, but hey, I appreciate you calling as always, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, Mike. Well, you keep up the good work, okay?
We'll do. Be good.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Good stuff as always. Yeah, that was a very great question there about this Hong Kong situation and possibly where it could go. I'm curious to find out anyone else's thoughts about the matter, because apart from just hearing and seeing images, that really makes it look like it's a true political demonstration of people's need and desire for their freedom of speech and all that stuff like that, which they've had thus far, it seems, but now it's being challenged. What else we got going on here? It says, easily distraction. U.S. will do nothing in Hong Kong. Trump has lost the trade war, low blood pressure. As far as the whole trade war, yeah, clearly all this back and forth and backing off. So this is where it gets into this whole tweet storm. It looks like his primary objective at this current moment is to do whatever it takes, say whatever he needs to say in order to get reelected. So the primary objective, it looks like, is to keep this narrative going, because when you got someone out here, and I'm going to show it again, when you got someone out here touting about how, what it says here, about how strong our economy is, very strong. I pretty much see a tweet every day, once a day, where it talks about how strong our economy is. So that itself lets me know that I don't really buy that strong economy stuff. Never really did, because he ran on the idea that Obama's situation was, a bubble ready to burst. So, yeah, once again, I take it for what you want. But yet, this whole Fed and Trump dispute or public calling out, it's all a game to these people, because they know what's going on. Trump knows the dollar is not worth anything. The Fed knows the dollar is not worth anything. They both know the Federal Reserve is not about anything other than enslaving people. So how do you resolve this thing? Or how do you bring this thing to a crash landing smoothly is what they're trying to do. So and it just becomes more and more obvious that this guy's, on some other stuff. But it is what it is. So we'll see what the ultimate agenda for him and being pressed for his second term. Is it because, he wants to oversee this thing until the end? Or does he have something planned, or do they have something planned through him for us? So we'll see. Tony Blair said, what happened to migration? Your guess, Tony, is good as mine. It looks like that was as I always say, a distractionary piece. The whole goal was to keep us looking over here while all that stuff over there took place. So, Tony, good question. Call in and let me know. I'm curious to find out. So, since this whole migration issue and the border wall, all that stuff is still going on, but it's not mainstream newsworthy. What has happened since then? What are some key things that were probably, that probably has occurred that was, the whole migration situation and the border wall security, all that stuff took our attention off of it. I'm curious to find out if anyone have anything off the top of their head that was something that we took our eyes off of for a quick minute. It says, Trump knows nothing. Trump asked why they couldn't just print new money to pay the national debt. Yeah, that's the thing. But see, as a person who has made a fortune off of this system, he knows how to work the system, because debt is what allows those that are in the know to get ahead. When you turn that debt into working capital in your favor, I'm not mad at you, really. And so what's going to happen, and with the Federal Reserve will drop rates. They will probably cut a point for sure by the end of this year, if not beginning of next year. And if everything is healthy, if the credit's still flowing, you know how many people are going to be taking out new debt? Because they're going to have to incentivize the public. So no longer will just having low interest rates really spur people to go out and get that new car, maybe even get that new house, because if people are already feeling a pinch, the tendency when things are tighter is to save, not go out and borrow. So you're going to have to throw some real nice stuff on top of those offers. And so, of course, the greatest offer right now is over in Denmark with, you buy a house, we pay you type of thing. But, one thing Max Kaiser mentioned on Friday is that that's all a sucker ploy to get you into debt. So if you go take out 200,000 euros or 200,000 Swiss francs or Sweden francs or whatever they got, kronas, you take out 200,000, and because the interest rate is negative 0.06, you got to pay back, 190 something. But yet, if they're giving you this loan in a market that's already depreciating, borderline housing about to crash, no matter what, you take that loan out, your house go to 25 euros or 25 whatever's, you still owe that difference of whatever it is you're on the hook for. So in a failing housing market, a negative debt will still get somebody to go out and take out a debt because you're brought in with the fact that you're going to pay them back less, but they're not telling you that the housing market going to collapse on your head and you're going to be stuck with the difference anyway. So when Max Kaiser said that, I was like, that kind of does make sense. It's about destroying the illegal voting bloc. Kid, I don't doubt it. Read Article 2, Section 2. Voting doesn't matter. Mike, no, Trump knows nothing. He's an accountant. It's his accountants and lawyers that navigate everything. Spirit, I don't doubt it. But he's smart enough to tell his accountants and lawyers, let's take out this loan because if I default, I ain't got to pay it back because I can just file for bankruptcy. So that's, it's worked out well for him being, that not so smart. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Tony?
Not too bad, man. I just put that in the text because me and Spirit King was hollering back and forth. It's all a distraction.
Yeah.
For what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it's trying to get the switch over going and trying to make sure people don't realize what's going on with it.
Yeah. So you say the switch over going. So switch over to what?
Everyone has their 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Germany, you look at Europe, you look at us, and now it's just time to move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's another form, another way. They still, the 1% still going to be the 1%,
mm-hmm.
and the sheep will still be the sheep. And they're just trying to move things on and hurry things along. And, before we really wake up and stay out and get out of bed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so, as I mentioned, while they're trying to move on to the next system or bring this thing down for a crash landing smoothly, who the people are caught in the middle are the people who are asleep at the wheel and those who follow the conventional advice that's been given out for the last 100 years. And a lot of it has to do with the concept of compound interest. So a lot of people are heavily invested into all types of financial instruments because of compounding interest. So everyone believes that compounding interest will continue to be the case. Do you feel the same way?
I do, but I think they decimate the middle class because it's a bigger part of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
And I read somewhere where it takes 40 years in order for someone to retire, but by the time they retire, they made the same money they made when they first started. It's all a Ponzi scheme and the shell game, and we never come out on top. If you look at your 401k, it looks good while you're working, but when you go to retire, there's hardly anything in it.
And I've seen several articles talk about fees and all the hidden things behind the scenes, and the fact that most of the things that everyone's invested in are all subject to things that are going to crash anyway. So yeah, it's like to let you know how much of a game that the system is against the person who's unaware is the fact that you can insure a lot of things in life, but you can't insure your currency and you can't insure directly your retirement portfolio, unless I'm wrong. I mean,
No. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
the only thing you can is what you buy and hold.
Exactly. So you have to insure yourself. You have to insure your own portfolio for yourself because they don't offer another product to say, okay, if the stock market crash, I got 400,000 in there, you're going to cover it, right? So I'm going to give you my money, but as long as you cover it, none of that.
Mike, I've been counseling people that's got that amount of money. I'm like, you got to move that kind of money somewhere, and they're like, and they work for a state. They're like, no, I'm gonna hold on. I'm like, you gonna hold on until there ain't nothing there, and then you realize that after it's all said and done, you walking away with half of what you thought you had.
Yeah, if that. A lot of people are predicting there's going to be 90% stock market crash, bonds are going to go belly ups, and so, I mean, people are predicting some very horrific things just because this thing has been expanded artificially for so long. So we expected a 50%. I guess the 50% will be on the good side. That's what it kind of seems like sometimes.
I'm gonna make this one comment and then I'm gonna make this statement.
Okay.
The Epstein thing is I think they talk in code when they do things like this. It's like, well, now why would they show Clinton in a dress? Why would they show his Epstein's girlfriend at In-N-Out Burger?
Yeah.
I just think they talk in codes when they do that sort of stuff, where we can't figure out what the heck's going on, and everybody's got an opinion, and that's what they want. It's like they ain't never gonna figure this one out.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it, my friend. Appreciate you.
Hey, Mike, one more.
Go ahead.
The Greenland thing.
Oh my goodness.
If you look at what Greenland got, and the reason why Trump said that, they got rare earth materials.
Yeah.
So I think he might be pushing that on China, talking about we'll just buy Greenland. We got the money.
Watch this.
We just.
I got a picture I want to show you. Watch this. I put it on the screen now. So his most recent tweet it's a picture of the Trump Towers in a place called Greenland, and it's like a joke. He said, "I promise I won't do this to Greenland." Like literally, like one line. I promise I won't do this to Greenland. So on the screen now, it's a Trump Tower in the middle of like Greenland, and my goodness. This is our president's tweet, man. All right, be good.
Take care. Bye.
Oh my goodness. This is an actual tweet from his account. He put a Trump Tower in the middle of a place looking like Greenland, and yeah, that's what's going on, man. But anyway, got a couple more calls. I've rejected a few calls. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure from Corpus Christi, Texas. How you doing?
Low blood pressure. I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
Good. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I don't know if you discussed it. I came on kind of late. Mm-hmm. You heard about this 50-year bond and the 100-year bond? What do you think about that? That's insane.
Oh, you talk about for the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm not surprised. I actually, on Friday, from the live stream, I actually asked Max Kaiser, what's the likelihood of the U.S. throwing out a 100-year bond? He was like, they would do it and it wouldn't work or something like that. But the fact that Argentina got a 100-year bond and I think somewhere in Sweden got a 100-year bond, why not? I mean, if you can get a couple suckers to buy that thing, thinking it's going to actually, return your currency 100 years from now, knowing damn well you're going to be on a different currency more than likely. If you got people out there willing to do it, and it's all pension fund, hedge funds, the corporations that are responsible for investing in, taking in people's funds for financial investments. And so that's one thing Max Kaiser mentioned is that, pension funds, they have to buy bonds, regardless of the whatever the yield is. They have to buy certain things because that's what they're supposed to do by law. So you can package up a 100-year note and just put it in, 2020 retirees for 60 years from now. Sure, people having their portfolio don't even know about it. So it's crazy, but it's real.
I just think it's crazy. The only people that I think that are going to buy it, I think the Fed's going to buy its own bonds bank. That's the only people that are going to buy that stuff. Nobody else is going to buy it.
Nobody's going to willingly.
From it.
Yeah, no. I mean, but here's the thing: people bought Argentina's 100-year bond more than likely knowing that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be held up to its promise, and it's defaulting right now, basically. So, but I read something like they got some type of coverage. Like if you're a private institution, your government can cover it or something like that as an insurance policy because it's people's investments or something like that. So it might profit you to buy a 100-year bond because you might have to be able some ways to protect it on some ends. I don't know, but if people bought the bond from Argentina and Argentina defaults every decade, then you got to know something's up.
Yeah, and also, Mike, I heard there's a bond in Germany that's paying you -6%. Who's doing that craziness?
Oh, it's a couple places in Europe that's paying negative. So a lot of countries are just the debt, because of where we're heading now, man. Like the future price of money has gone down to a point where now is worth more now because you ain't getting in the future. So, but yet, as I mentioned, like a lot of state governments have it to where you have to invest in certain things, even though, and then the people are choosing to do it. They're only going to do that for so much longer before they realize it'll be better to put it in gold and it'll stay at zero in nominal terms, but it'll go up though. So, hey man,
crazy, Mike. We're living in opposite land. I'm going to go down to the corner and tell the drug dealer, "Hey, you paid me for taking your drug." I don't know what the hell I even think.
Depending on if he has an oversupply, he might just do it.
It's crazy, dude. All right, Mike.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Good night.
All right, you too.
All right.
Oh man, good stuff. Yeah, this is interesting times as I always say. This is where we're at right now. This is where we're at. This is real life. Ain't no getting around it. But yet that tweet, man, this is some funny stuff. Where is it at? This is President Trump's Twitter. He said he promised not to do this to Greenland. So this is what's going on. But anyway, everybody's been great hanging out tonight. About to dial back. I'm at the 30-minute mark, and so I apologize for all the hiccups on the time lapses or whatever. But it is what it is. So if there's no more thoughts or questions out there, we're going to dial back. I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. It says expat in Russia. It says ain't going to be no pension that buys you more than a milkshake in 10 years from now. Peter, yeah, oh man, pensions. I've been doing so much preaching about pension systems, implosion. They're all, a good portion of them are all underfunded, and it's only going to increase because more pension funds are to chase yield. They're either getting into riskier products, which is going to cause more of a loss, and therefore more people are going to be left out stranded. So everybody who's expecting a retirement vehicle to pay out some type of fixed income one day, it's not going to happen because more than likely between now and the time you look to withdraw, there's going to be some market correction. So what you got in there now, principal-wise, won't be the same. Even if you adjust it for inflation, if it does recover, they're going to print so much currency that it's going to dilute the purchasing power. So you can probably have how many ever thousand in it now. If it drops 50%, you lose a lot. But then if they start printing trillions and the markets go back up again, you thinking you're richer. But in actuality, they just put a couple trillion in circulation to compete with your current currency. So purchasing power, you will lose purchasing power is what I'm saying. So, and then on top of that, I know I'm more than confident for my generation that we won't be using the same currency. So for me to invest in a financial product that it's going to pay out in a currency that's going to be either revaluated, redeemed, reneged, or something doesn't make much sense for me personally. But that's just my opinion there. It says you need millions and millions to retire, which means most of you would either. Okay, so watch this. There's an article that lets you know according to I think it's Charles Schwab that came out, I think it was last week, and I meant to do a video on it, but I didn't. But it was very interesting because, hello caller, what's your name, where you calling from? Hello? Appreciate the call. Try to call back again if it's a real call. If not, so there's an article. Okay, so here's an article. And this is what we've been taught to believe is what would be needed in order to enjoy retirement. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? All right. So that's all she wrote for this evening. But with that being the case, so it says most Americans say you need 1.7 million to retire. Here's how much money to save each month to get there. So 1.7 million is a number that people think or suggest is a good number, but 1.7 million in a currency that will have problems like every other currency is very bad. It's very bad. Like I wouldn't recommend or suggest that to anybody nowadays, just because, in my opinion, I'm not confident that a number, you can actually come up with a viable number that will retain its purchasing power in 10 years, nevertheless, 20, 30, 40 years. And then if you are to get to that number, it would only be possible if we had a stable monetary supply. If money was stable, 1.7 would retain value. But when your currency is going to be losing value, to say 1.7, hell, 1.7 is a house and a couple cars right now. Think about, 20, 30 years from now, 1.7 will be a car if we got a hyperinflated dollar. So if that, but anyway, that being the case, that's all she wrote. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these subject matters. Leave a comment down below. More importantly, if you've enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up. Every thumbs up definitely shows your support and your love for the channel. And other than that, we're going to call it a quits for this evening. It's been fun. As always, any information you guys need from free resources, they are beneath this video. And more importantly, if you haven't, get your cash go, get your RTD coin, because now's the time to get your weight up. And other than that, that's all she wrote. Peace.